Take two. Good morning. Buenas and magandang umaga po sa inyo mga kababayan. Buenas to my brothers and sisters in the Chamorro community, and of course our brothers and sisters in the Micronesian community and the Palau community. All our viewers, my supporters from Kababayan, kasali kayo. Today is Saturday, a day before Mother's Day, May 13th, and it's episode 13. What a coincidence, right? Um, I've got some news lined up from the Philippines, as well as I'd like to make a comment on one story that was, I think it was uh, published or aired or shown on Candid News yesterday. So those are a couple of the things that I have lined up for today. And then, of course, I'm going to do a recap on the complications of uh, purchasing and selling real estate in the Philippines. Okay? But brief news from the Philippines, and I think it's a very good news. The House representative of the Philippine government, the Committee on Population and Human Relations, has approved an absolute divorce bill for the Philippines, sending the measures to the floor now for debates, and this puts the Philippines, along with other countries in the 21st century, to have a divorce, and if it passes, there's going to be a divorce. The Philippines is the only country in the entire world that does not have a divorce, along with, of course, the the Vatican, which is the bastion of Christianity. So the Philippines and the Vatican are the only ones that are not recognized, and they don't have laws for divorce. Now, while it is said that marriages are solemnized in heaven, the fact is some marriages plummet into hell because of human frailty and imperfections. Okay? The Divorce Act, according to Bicol, Albay Bicol First District Representative, and very intelligent congressman, is Representative Edsel Lagman, said that the divorce law will give spouses, especially wives, the option of getting out of an abusive and irreparable and broken marriages, and a chance to start all over. And that's very true. Now, there is some sort of um, well, there is a law. It's called annulment in the Philippines, but it's not. It does not have the leeway to for abuse partners to gain the freedom to start all over again. Annulment is very, very expensive, and there are some, requirements that are very hard to prove. Okay, while this divorce law that the Philippine House of Representative Committee is proposing is very similar to the divorce law in the United States. Okay, we'll have more news about this as it develops. Okay, and I'm really excited about this because it's about time. Um, and it's not only for the best interest of the wives, there's also, there's rampant abuse by wives against the husband. A lot of, ever since there was that opportunity for women to go abroad to work as overseas workers, they leave their husbands behind with their children, and they do other stuff abroad. And you know there's a rampant increase of this type of infidelity caused by women. So right now in the Philippines, it's not totally the fault of the man because he's infidel or whatever. uh, the numbers are like here, okay, even. So I'm happy that the if this bill passes, there's an opportunity for both male and female, husband or wife, to start all over, to start afresh, and make a new life. And also, there's the children to be considered. In an abusive and a toxic relationship, it's the children who suffer, and that's not good. You know, children seeing their parents beat up each other, you know, or just clawing each other with words and physical, and it's not the emotional impact. The bad impact on the children is reparable. So I'm gonna be on top of this, and I'll give you reports as we go along. Okay. Um in other news, well, it's not really news. It's a buzz right now, or is it even a buzz? But I know that the Philippine Independence Day is coming up in June, very soon. So preparations are underway to make this event a great one. And insiders have told me that they've, uh, the committees and the leaders have come together to address and choose who would be the guest uh, to come from the Philippines and be the guest of this celebration in June. And so one of the names that came up is a very young mayor. I think he's from Taguig, or I can't remember where he's come from, but his last name is Soto, and he comes from the family of, a very popular show called Eat Bulaga, the Soto brothers. And then, of course, his uncle is used to be the Senate president in this last Senate. And his mother is an actress, a very popular actress. And so he was he was the first choice, but he had other commitments, so he had to turn it down. So the Filipino community of Guam, we're looking at other areas, other people, to bring over. And the other selectee was Karen Davila, who is or who was doing the ABS-CBS news from the Philippines, and turned vlogger, having a large followers, but her vlog is focused on the celebrities, the actors and actresses in the Philippines, and the rich and the famous, and of course the politicians. So and somebody asked my opinion about that. What do you think of Karen Davila? And I said, well, in terms of addressing some of the concerns of especially the H2B workers here on Guam, I would say that Karen wouldn't know any of those issues. And she may not be able to address any of those issues because her focal on her vlog is on celebrities and, the uh, what's going on with celebrities' lives, who broke up, who got married, who's with somebody, that kind of thing. And then she also does, features on their beautiful homes and their fast cars and their fast lifestyle. So if she were brought here, what would she know about labor issues? Okay. And that is the focus here on Guam now because of the military buildup. We're going to have 10 or more years on the military buildup. So when they ask my opinion, how is she going to address that? Okay. So she's not a good choice. So they were stuck. So another friend came to me and asked my opinion. Who would you think would make time and consider coming to Guam for the Philippine Independence Day? And I said, you know what? I said, contact Senator Raffy Tulfo. Raffy Tulfo was well, he still is. He's still a broadcaster and a newscaster for TV5. But he also has a very popular show up to now, even when when he's now a senator. It's called Raffy Tulfo in Action. Okay, but before he became a senator, he was a newsman. Okay, and I said, the only reason why I would highly recommend that you bring Raffy Tulfo here, because right now as a senator, he heads the committee on overseas workers, what do you call this, welfare, something like that. And he has other important committees under him, but primarily, and he's always been concerned about the welfare of overseas workers. And although a lot of the issues that go through him, through his show and his capacity as a senator, a lot of these issues concerns abuse, abroad, like in UAA countries and some parts of Asia's, overseas workers being killed, being some of them being raped, and all kinds of abuse. And he's on top of this, and he gets so upset when something like this happens, you know, and he gets right on to the plenary session, and boom, he's doing something about it. That's the type of person he is, and that's the type of a senator he is. So, in asking my opinion, I said, he may not be all that familiar with Guam, that we have the largest in one area, we have the largest OFW, called here H2B skilled workers. And there are some concerns here. For example, when Polo was removed from Guam, Polo is the agency that oversees the different abuses that employers, commit against against the H2B workers. And so the Polo oversaw, I think at one time they were officed here at the Philippine consulate, and I can't remember. I think this was in the 80s, okay? And then their office got transferred in Saipan, and that was their and they oversaw Saipan and Guam. And then all of a sudden, the Philippine government stationed them in, I believe, in San Francisco, okay? And that's been happening for many years now. And it makes it very difficult for uh, contractors, if they have issues, labor issues, to be dealing with that office in San Francisco. Now, there was nothing wrong when they were officed in Saipan, because, what, it only takes 35 minutes to travel back and forth, Saipan, Guam, Saipan. Well, it makes it very hard for contractors here on island to deal with them in San Francisco. And a lot of it is through Zoom or other ways of communication. So um, he certainly can push uh, to have a Philippine office that oversees the benefits and the welfare of the foreign workers here on Guam. Rafi Tulfo can make that happen. Okay, he's a man of action. He's very decisive, and he's not wishy-washy about issues. And before he gets on anything, he has under his, even in as an announcer, even as a broadcaster, he has a pool of staff. He has a pool of support staff that includes, oh my goodness, I think half a dozen of lawyers. So could you imagine being a senator, how many staff he could have, so that when he wants to take on an issue, I mean, it's well researched, and he just goes on and dive into it because he's got all the facts. And so it's a good, I suggested, he's a good person. He's a good visitor to come and grace the affairs comes June, the Philippine Independence Day celebration here on Guam. Now, I haven't heard. My friend hasn't arrived, so, and she goes, yeah, but it's just such a short notice. And I say, he's a very personable person. I've had the opportunity to meet him once, and he's very personable, very nice person. Um, and I said to my girlfriend, I said, just go. If you cannot find him, you will most likely find him at the at his senatorial office in Kansas City. I mean, that's the first place you should go, because don't go to his TV station yet, because go to the show, because you'll run into thousands of people. Go direct to his office and bring the invitation. Talk to him. I'm sure once he finds out how many OFW workers we have on Guam, okay, I'm sure Senator Tulfo will grace the affair, and he'll do justice. And I'm sure the Filipino community will love him. The skilled workers and the engineers would wanna meet him, and it will be a great celebration for the Philippine Independence Day if you do, and when you do, uh, extend the invitation and encourage him to come, and he will come and make time. Anyway, let's have a short break, and then we'll go into segment 2 of Kababayan Kasali Kayos. Stay with me. Thank you. Pinoy Express, with 2 convenient locations, one in Harmon and Dedido. Tara mga kababayan, magpadala na tayo sa ating mga mahal sa buhay sa Pinoy Express. Sa Pinoy Express. Sa Pinoy Express. Island Family Pharmacy is committed to providing care and service that goes beyond dispensing prescriptions. We offer personalized services focused on quality care, outstanding customer experience with prompt and professional attention. At our pharmacy, you are family. Okay, so we've got two advertisements there. We just gonna have to fix it a little bit, right, Isaac? Anyway, I love it. I love the Pinoy Express advertisement. Thank you, Isaac, for working on that. Welcome back to Kababayan Kasali Kayo. This is segment two. I'm talking a little bit fast because running out of time. We had some, sorry, we had some technical difficulties, and that's normal in any studio. But so I'm talking a little bit faster than I should. Uh, so this is segment two, and like I promised last week Saturday, um, when I decided to put this story out, it's more of informative story rather than news. And it's on the difficulty, the complications of owning or trying to own or buy a real estate property in the Philippines or sell for that matter. It gets very, very complicated, believe me, because I've done it twice. And it cost me my health for about 2 weeks. And I say I lost a lot, like 10 pounds, just doing the work and the process. Okay, so because we don't have much time, what I'd like to do, because I got some emails and questions about the presentation last episode. So this is, I'm going to recap and explain as I go along if need be. But again, in the Philippines, let me remind you, we don't have in the Philippines what we call a title company. And this is the middle party that prepares all the documents in favor of the buyer and in favor of the seller. I mean, they're neutral and they do all the process. And they even guarantee their work. It's called the title company. In the Philippines, we don't have such thing. In the Philippines, what we have is we have licensed agents under a development company, and then we have licensed brokers within that company, and then there are also realtors, licensed realtors on their own. In other words, they're independent. Okay? But we have also a lot of agents who are not licensed and they're fly by nights. And so as brokers, I mean, so as individuals pretending to be brokers. So there's a lot of red flags to watch when you're buying or selling properties in the Philippines. You just want to make sure, in the absence of a title company, that you're dealing with somebody legit. Okay? And if you don't want to go, I mean, if you sense some danger or like possible fraud, the best thing to do, my friends, is I tell you, seek an attorney, a legal attorney, licensed attorney that does have a reputation of transacting real estate in the Philippines. And I'm sure you can by asking relatives and friends. Okay? You can ask me. I can recommend several real estate companies. Oh, by the way, if you have any question about this topic, you may email me at akinosally3@gmail.com. Okay? If you have any question, I'd be more than happy to answer them for you. Because again, I experienced this complication twice. And I don't know if I'm going into my third complications. I hope not. You know, I've already learned my lessons. Anyway, so here's a recap. Number one, okay, when you're trying to buy a property, a real estate property, obtain a copy of the title from the seller or sellers. Okay, and with that copy, you bring it to the registry of deed in the locality where that property is located. Okay, every locality in the Philippines, every province or city in the province has its own registry of deed. And what is the registry of deeds? It's like Department of Land Management. Everything that's transacted about real estate here on Guam is registered under the land management. In the Philippines, it's called Registry of Deed, or RD. You'll hear a lot more of the RD. Okay. With the copy of the title, verify the identity of sellers and make sure their names are on the title. Okay. Next Saturday, I'm going to show you a sample of a title. We'll upload that next Saturday. Number 4, check if there are liens on the property. Okay? And I'll show you where these liens are stamped on the property next episode. And these are annotated on the last page of the title. Okay, can you bring it up? So Isaac, thank you. Okay? And check with the local court if there is any lis pendens or lawsuit on the subject property. Okay. Again, what is a lis pendens? It's a lawsuit to stop the issuance of a title. When somebody's, even after it was bought, this lawsuit can be ensued. So it may not appear on the property, on the title of the property. Okay. So what happens if you cannot find any in court? Then you just have to deal with the seller or the agent, because you don't want any of this lawsuit when you're already in the process. You've already paid for the property and you're in the process of having the title transferred to you. You don't want to get stuck, because it takes about, oh my God, 3 years at the most, 4 years. Okay, if you have and sometimes, this kind of lawsuit adds more to the expense, and the stress. Anyway, so in that case, seek an attorney. Okay. Number 6, very important, check the description of the property. Okay, the location, they have the barangays or the village, and then the city. So check all those, that whatever is on the title that you find at the RD is the same as the copy that you're holding. Okay. Check the land area. If you're buying a 5,000 square meter farmland, okay, and it has to be it has to match the title with the RD that's filed with the RD, along with the what do you call this, surveyed record that is submitted to the RD. Okay. Now check for number 8. Do we have a number 8? Yes. Verify with the local assessor's office that the property tax are paid to date. In other words, there are no arrears. Because if there are no arrears, you don't want to sign any contract with the seller unless these are fulfilled. Okay? That's very important. A title will never be transferred if the property taxes are not paid. So if you're buying a house, it's a separate assessment for the house. It's a separate assessment for the land. Okay. Number 9, if the person transacting the sale is not the owner of the property, but as an agent or a broker, it is a must to check their background or their reputation. Things to look for is, are they licensed? Okay, are they registered with the compliance agency in the Philippines? or the city where they say they are licensed, okay, or the province. Those are some things you need to ask them for their IDs and a copy of their license. With the with at present, it's just so, again, there's rampant abuse of this kind of transaction agents pertaining pretending to know everything, or brokers pretend. So you it's a red flag for fraud, and you don't want to get into this. You got to decipher, ooh, am I going to do this? I like the property, but you know you don't want to release any funds and have any problems. Okay, you don't want to sign any contract to purchase, or without really doing your due diligence. Okay, and then you yourself can feel, if if you're gonna go through with this, or do you need more time so that you can work with the seller, and then find an attorney that can help you address all these issues that you may find. Lucky if you don't have any issues, my friends. uh, I'd like to speak in Tagalog. We come to Guam. We Filipinos come to Guam because we want to make our lives better, the lives of our families in the Philippines, our wife, our children. Okay, and it's a dream to own a land, and have your own land and put up a house. I can tell you, a lot of these skilled workers here on Guam, that's their dream. That when they go back to the Philippines, they have saved the money for them to buy even a small portion. Some people even buy as much as small as 50 square meters to start off with. You know, how much more if they're here earning more money than working in the Philippines, less money, then they can triple that, or quadruple that 50 square meters. And that's a dream of anybody, anywhere, to own a land and build a house for his or her family. And so, if you get scammed because you failed to do this, basic requirements, I feel sorry for you. So please, uh, these are some things that I just put together, uh, to advise and get a guidance on how to buy a property in the Philippines. Okay? So that your hard earned money is not lost through scam or fraud. I cannot emphasize it anymore. If you have any doubt, you like that property, please seek a legal advice. Hire an attorney. If you can afford one, it's worth it. Okay? If you cannot afford, you can deal with the attorney and negotiate the fee. Okay? It's a little hefty. 5%, attorneys charge 5% of the price of the property. And that can be hefty. For some people that don't have that kind of money, it's kind of hard. But don't give up. Don't give up. You can always find relatives to talk to the lawyer, who've used that lawyer to purchase or sell other properties. It can be worked out. Don't give up. Don't do things if you're doubtful. Don't get into any contract. Don't give down payments or earnest money without any kind in writing. And that everything, every provision, if something goes wrong, there has to be a provision where you can get that money back, because your hard earned money back. you know it's hard to get scammed in the Philippines. uh let's have another break, and then I'll wrap it up with the Mother's Day, Isaac.
Okay, here we go.
Stay tuned, my friends. We'll be right back. Pinoy Express with two convenient locations, one in Harmon and Dedido. Tara mga kababayan, magpadala na tayo sa ating mga mahal sa buhay sa Pinoy Express. Sa Pinoy Express. Sa Pinoy Express. Island Family Pharmacy is committed to providing care and service that goes beyond dispensing prescriptions. We offer personalized services focused on quality care, outstanding customer experience with prompt and professional attention. At our pharmacy, you are family. Welcome back to Kababayan, kasali kayo. Friends and viewers, I'm your host, Sally Aquino, and I'm going 60 miles an hour. We're trying to fit everything that I prepared. And anyway, I hope you're still viewing my show and keeping up with me. I'm going to wrap up this in 5 minutes. Tomorrow is, wow, another Mother's Day. May 14th. And Isaac, you know, your wife is not your mother, but she's the mother of your children, so take her to dinner or lunch.
Happy Mother's Day.
Happy Mother's Day. Anyway, so tomorrow is Happy Mother's Day. And I'm sure, many of you have prepared some plans and purchased some gifts readily to be given to your mom, to your mother tomorrow. And what a feeling, right? To appreciate parents. Um, every Mother's Day, it reminds me, even not Mother's Day, I'm reminded of my mom. How, she's shorter than me. I think my mom was only like 5 feet and 5 feet tall, heavy, you know. But she was the best mom, the best, very patient mom. She had 10 children, and I'm the agagwat because I'm number 10. You know, I, I was the well, not hard headed, but they said I was spoiled, but no, when you're poor, you can't get spoiled when you're poor. And my family was poor. But I'm reminded her on a regular basis, even without, not Mother's Day. And I remember my mom, getting sick as I approached graduation from high school. And she knew that after graduation, I have to go. I have to go. I wanted to go to the Philippines and study there, and I was, headstrong about that. So I graduated, and my mom, I know how she developed hypertension. She had a bad case of diabetes, and I worried about that before I left. But I had to go. Oh, I'm getting emotional now. Anyway, 2 weeks before I left, I already had my passport, my ticket, and all my documents. And my mom would come in and say, hey, they used to have this, I think it's an Indian company here where they used to have, they sell yardage of materials. And she would bring it to my sister, and she goes, make some clothes for your sister, me, so that she has something to wear, something nice to wear when she goes to Manila. And of course, she also knows that I don't have that much money to spend on clothing, so she did. She surprised me with those things before I left. So I went to Manila, and I worried about her all day and night because I was her driver when she needed, when she had, when her hypertension went up, and her diabetes. She ran out of diabetes pills and all that, or that she would complain about stomach ache. And I was always readily available to take my mom to the clinic and the hospital. So, you know, I thought out of sight, out of mind. Well, one day, I think I was in school, and I was in Manila. I was in college for about a year and a half already. I get a call from my sister, who didn't drive either, you know. A bad news. My mom developed a gangrene from an, I don't know what kind of bite. I don't know if it was ant or a mosquito. And it developed into a gangrene, and they had to amputate her leg. The gangrene started from her toe, somewhere on her toe. So she said, mom's leg was amputated, and she was so worried. What am I gonna do? She said, and immediately, I said, well, talk to her doctor and get her prepared. She can get on a plane and bring her to the Philippines. Bring her where? At our house in the Philippines. And I said, and I'll get all the requirements here, and I'll also look for a stay-in nurse and a doctor that can visit her on a weekly basis. And I did all that in less than a month with the help of a lot of my dear friends. I had some nurse friends, some doctors, and they helped me. And we were able to bring my mom to the Philippines, because aside from the amputation, she also had a mild stroke that she couldn't walk anymore. She was in a wheelchair. As a matter of fact, when I met them at the airport, she was already in a wheelchair. And mind you, on that day, that was not even Mother's Day. When I met my mom at the airport, first thing I saw was her eyes lit up, and she just extended her arms, and we were, oh my goodness, we were on that scene for good 10 minutes, just crying, and I keep kissing her and kissing her. And to make a long story short, her life, she lived her life with me, although I didn't stay. She lived another 11 years after that amputation and after that mild, stroke. And I made sure that she was happy. I've given her everything that I could, made her experience some of the things that I like shopping, or eating out, which nobody nobody took her to the restaurant here. Not that she wanted to, but I gave my mom everything, and I shared all my passions with her. Like, I like planting, I like decorating, I like bringing in stuff, just different stuff for to make our house nice in and out. And I shared all of that with her, and she was the happiest mom. And I had her for an additional 11 years. And so every day from then on, I missed my mom, because I think, as a child, as her daughter, I think that I didn't give her enough. So every day that Mother's Day comes, she's in my mind. Even before the day of Mother's Day, she's already on my mind, you know.
I
And
miss my mom too.
and how can you make up the days that you think you failed your mom? You can't. So my advice to you tomorrow, Mother's Day, and the coming years, Mother's Day, please love your mom, treat them right. Gifts don't mean anything if you are not sincerely, you know,
loving your mom and caring for your mom. Gifts don't mean anything. It's the attention, that constant assurance that you love them and you care for them and you will be there for them for the rest of their lives. So, friends, happy Mother's Day to all my friends in the Philippines, my friends in Europe, in Asia, and especially here on Guam. Go and hug your mom and tell her you love her. Tell your moms you love them. Because when they're gone, you know, you can't replace the time that you missed. You cannot replace it. No matter how many nights, how many days, how many years you think back. No, you cannot. And I'm very emotional about that because I still think of my mom, you know, to this day. And tomorrow is another Mother's Day. So with that, I leave you with that thought. And I also want to greet my daughter a happy Mother's Day. She's a wonderful mother. She brings up my granddaughter, Cambria Rose, uh, you know, very talkative. She can speak in French and German. I mean, modest. She doesn't really, but she mumbles like she's German. She can speak German and French, but a wonderful child. And I have to give my daughter credit because she's a full-time mother and she's also a full-time teacher. What an act. What a responsibility. And I also thank, God that she has a very supportive partner. Okay, and I'm sorry, I'm emotional, and hey, happy Mother's Day. Enjoy.
Happy Mother's Day.
Zach, take your wife to lunch or dinner and make her happy. Okay? And my supporters and viewers of Kababayan, kasali kayo. Thank you so much. And I'll see you next episode, next Saturday, episode 14. And I'll post something on Facebook so that you know what my topics are going to be. I was sidelined for 4 days because of this bad cold and cough. And I think it's all because of, it's not virus, I think it's the weather. But anyway, bye-bye. And thank you for staying with me for a whole hour.